what does it look like in the life of an insurance agent? Now I'm going to talk more P&C. I'm sure life and health is very similar. I actually work in an office where there's about 6 or 7 life and health people around us, so I see how crazy it can get with them. And if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll pull them on the channel and have them kind of show their story and kind of share what their day-to-day is. Our day-to-day on a busy day, this is typically the way that my morning started, is where I pull up my email. And I've got my tasks, so I've got things that I'm going to do. John is unfortunately out sick, so I'm trying to step in and try to help him. But the neat part is most of our stuff is technology based. So even though John was sick, I just told him to go in and schedule out his calendar if he's out for 2 days. And then that way it won't let appointments take over until the next couple days. So if he's out sick the next day, we'll have to reschedule some appointments. A little bit of a headache, but not the end of the world. In this case, we're able to set the technology, base the appointments on when he'll be here. That being said, some customers wanted help right away, so they reached out to me directly and I started to do quotes for them. So I started working on those yesterday. I had to finish those today. So that was step one. All of a sudden, I get an email from somebody I'm trying to connect with. I'm also working on a plan of rolling out some technology for people. So we're working on building that out. So it's a little bit of a side. That's not necessarily the agent that you're going to see is going to typically have that in their day, but you're going to have customers. I had one customer that needed to sign their forms. They're not getting the email, so I have to go in and resend it. They still didn't get it, so I have to send it myself and then get the signatures, and then I have to upload it to the carrier. So there's lots of little steps that actually happen in the P&C industry. Once you start building houses, you're going to have inspectors that go out and you get reports back, and they might completely deny the insurance and say, we won't insure this guy. He's got brush all over the place. There's a fridge laying on the side. There's all this junk. And then usually you can get that overturned. If it's something standard, call the underwriter. Time, right? So we're spending 20, 30 minutes calling the underwriter, getting that approved, getting the okay to keep going with the policy, give us an extension of a month, maybe 2 months. We'll get pictures of it all cleaned up, call the customer, get a hold of them, make sure that they go clean it up. And if we have to reshop them, we got to reshop them. So there's all of these little steps that you're going to have during your day. So let me go over just what my day was like today. A little bit started off slow. I wanted to organize some of my email, and I went through, there's some licenses that we renewed in different states. I went through and just made sure that those were in the right folders. And then I got a text message from a family member who needs to have their insurance changed. So they're switching jobs, their pay date changed. We need to change the way that their policy looks with the carrier, their pay date. The carrier, they've already called and they said just let the policy cancel and then restart it, which is really bad advice. But we've got to figure out a solution. Honestly, I'm going to reshop them and see if I have anything better anyways, because they've had insurance for a short time now. That makes sense. So we'll see if we can even get them a better deal and get them a better date of when their policy is going to be active. I did have the customer I just mentioned where signing the documents. In Michigan, we have PIP forms, personal injury protection, and that's where they basically have to sign documents. If they don't sign them, price goes up. This guy's price went up $1,200 because of not signing just a couple boxes. He missed 4 of the 6 boxes that had to be initialed, and so we ended up having to go through and send those out. He didn't get the first one I sent yesterday, so I manually downloaded my own, put the spots where he had to sign it, and then sent it to him. It's almost foolproof when you do it yourself because they just click a few buttons and then it's done. It submits back to me. I go into the carrier, upload it into the carrier, and then I just have to verify later on that it's still good. I've got a BNI group that I'm going to be part of next week, so we're trying to get some of the paperwork there. So you're going to do that if you're networking with different people trying to get this. Mine's a little bit more tech-based. It's the same thing for if you're doing insurance, but mine's more of the technology and the appointment setting system that we're actually building. We're trying to build it for some other people that want to use that. Because I had an employee that was out sick, there was some documents from a loan officer that needed to be updated. So they forgot to put the unit number on a condo of a policy they're purchasing. So they purchased a policy. It starts on the 20 some odd of the month, and they need the paperwork to show the unit number or the loan won't go through. Quick rush on that, get that paperwork done. Now I actually messed up on that one. I put it in the actual address, and there's 2 fields when you do some policies. Most of them, that's why I messed up, because most of them just do it for you. But I forgot that with this carrier, you have to do it twice. So you actually have to go in and change the mailing address to have the unit number, and then you have to go and change the physical address to have the unit number as well. So I sent them the paperwork. It was incorrect. They said, hey, I'm missing it here. had to go back in and do it again and resubmit it. That way they got all of the things they need to close the loan. That's all good and taken care of. It didn't take that long, but it's throughout the day. So it's while I'm working on something else, boop, I get this urgent email, hey, we need this document. So then I almost don't have to drop everything, but I have to speed up and try to get to that, because honestly, in my opinion, if we have those little mistakes, I like to just get them cleared and wiped away as quick as possible. Doing a better service for your mortgage person is beneficial, because then they know that you're working extra to make sure that all of their loans are processing correctly, which creates a better relationship, which gets more customers that you can help them with, because they know you're going to take care of them really well. I have a little bit of a tech issue. So in my space, it's not even a tech issue. It's more of a compliance issue. There's a person I onboarded and we're trying to figure out their whole connection. And there was some mistakes made, not on our end, but so I'm trying to figure that out. A little bit of a headache calling this guy to figure out if they can fix it, and then emailing this person and just going back and forth with the day-to-day. That's more of the owner's piece of where you're going to have those pieces where an agent did this or so-and-so did that, or you have to update something else in place, and that's just going to take up some of your time. It's not necessarily hours of your day, but it's half hour today, 15 minutes tomorrow, 3 weeks from now it's this. We're also looking at a different space that we're going to rent, so we had to send somebody out to look at the piping and the plumbing to make sure that we can do what we want to do for a kitchenette. There's a lot of time stepping away from lunch, going visiting the property, measuring certain things, getting the guy out there, working with the realtor. So there's all those little pieces that kind of in the ownership world add on top of your day-to-day. If you're just writing insurance, it's a lot easier, less things to think about, which is why a lot of people are just focused on being an agent versus being the owner or growing a team. It's a process. There's pieces that have to be in place that will help you get successful in that industry. Now, just looking at my email, I have about 35 delete messages, and a lot of them are 5 times per person. So we've probably got about 7 things that we've done. It's back and forth, wait for them to respond, fix the problem, back and forth. So some of it is just carrier information. Some of it's notifications that they did or didn't sign a document I sent to them. One is just a spam piece. I've got the one customer trying to fix his PIP documents, which we fixed. That was pretty easy. We had one that was the mortgage person that honestly more emails came because of my fault for not doing it correctly. Then I just quickly go through, and anything spam, I honestly don't pay a ton of attention to read the title. Within a second and a half, I've deleted it. So out of those 30 emails you get a day, we're deleting those as well. I had a customer that did an updated loan on their mortgage, and they're changing the loan number. So they need me to change the document on there. That's one of the benefits of working. Like for us, if we onboarded somebody, one of our things is we usually want to handle the service, right? So we could hire a service person to handle that piece. This is not a typical rush day like it is today. I'm about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's just been go. So much so I had to just take a break and listen to some music for about 5 minutes just to reboot and just make sure I'm on task. There's a few follow-ups with some documents that oddly enough went into cancellation. It was a non-pay, and then I sent the document to the person, and they ended up getting it fixed. Somehow, just by them going into it, it processed the payment. So I think it was just rerunning the payment, and that ended up being something I didn't have to do anything with. So just an email from them saying everything's clear, policy is active, so we're good. Where it gets a little complicated is the quoting process. In our system, we're using a program called EasyLinks. And in EasyLinks, you can quote one person, you can quote a household, you can quote the home, the auto, all of those pieces. And one of the things that I started to do is I've got a customer, and this is one of the fun things about insurance, it's the unique situations if you're boots to the ground, right? If you're an agent working on quotes. I don't normally work on quotes anymore just because I'm focused on the business building part of it. But again, someone's out sick, so I started to step in, trying to help out. And the quoting process is going to be a little bit more complicated. So you got mom and son needs insurance. They're currently insured now, so that's great. And I'm trying to check, is it better to be under mom because they live in the same household, get a multi-car, multi-policy discount, all of those pieces added up? Or is it cheaper or better or smarter to put son on his own, no risk to mom, or at least lower risk to mom if he has his own insurance? So there's all of those pieces to play a factor. So we're doing a quote for him, quote for her, quote for both, and then now grandma wants a quote. So now we're going to work on grandma's quote, which is honestly, we're probably going to save them all money, which is awesome. And we're going to give them the same or better coverage, which is even better. That's the fun part of the job is you're able to say, hey, guess what? I got better coverage. I also have cheaper price. Let's go. I did verify some quotes. So I like to verify the data coming in because you just always want to keep your thumb on the software. Software can glitch out. Now, ours actually hasn't technically ever glitched out. If it's messed up, it was because something I had automated and all the algorithm that I put together. That's all been fixed probably for 6+ months. But I still like to keep an eye on it. So I want to make sure that when a quote comes in our system, it goes directly into our CRM. It starts texting the person. The cool part is we actually had a few customers today. I'll try to pull them up here, but they went through the process, the automation that we had set up, and they booked appointments. So in a couple of days, when my guy's back and he's healthy and he can talk on the phone for once, then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 text messages that are coming in just in the last few hours that people are connecting with the AI portion of it, or at least the autoresponder. And so now it's able to book those appointments without us having to even look at it. I like to go in and verify that it's working, make sure that everything's correct, and then I look at the agent and just say, okay, here's some pointers, some things or quick responses that we can have. And for example, this one here came in. His name's Eric. He came in as a lead, came in from, I think, Insurance Channel. Automation went out. He said anytime would be fine to talk. It automatically sent out the appointment calendar. He registered for a few days from now, and he's good. So now the agent has time to A, recover, or B, work on the quote so that he can have it all prepared for when the time comes. The benefit of doing that is it's a lot less stress on the agent as well as you, because now you're not just dialing everybody, picking up the phone. Now, had the person not responded, then after a short time, it's going to trigger us to reach out and try to get a hold of the person. The reason that we're not doing the instant dial like you hear all over the place, the sales calls, you got to dial instantly, 30 seconds. That does make sense if you're purchasing leads or if you're running ads that are tricky, like getting people to respond, because those interest levels are low, where these ones are more specific. They're watching a video, maybe a couple of videos that we've put out about insurance, and they're trying to respond and say, hey, I'm interested in working with your company. Let me get some information. I've personally found that it's like a day to 3 days that we have to respond to a lead where they're still interested. Now, we respond within a few minutes because we want to give it about a minute to process, and then we want to send out a text message from the agent saying, hey, I work with this company, X, Y, and Z. Let's set up a time to talk. I get it. Not everybody can do that piece, but that's part of the marketing that we love so much that we're probably actually going to amplify that and work with some more influencers that can do even more of that. The benefit of that is, 1, you're getting exclusive leads. 2, you're actually working with people that are reaching out to say that they're interested. And 3, they have time. They're not in a rush. So you getting to the quote in a half hour or an hour later is not the end of the world. I get it. Speed the lead, make the dials, make the sales. That does work. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's just so much nicer and sweeter if you don't have to stress about that part. But thanks to the Hubbly software that we use, that we built, that does do all of that for us. That's the piece that just puts everything together, at least for me. For you, a Rolodex might be fine in a phone, but this is everything. This makes my world 10 times better by having the ability to do that. And if there's something that I want to put in place, I can just hop in and just add it to the system. So that I want this to go out, I want to change the email here, I want this and that. All of the pieces that we use are just so much smoother when you have something put together that helps you to get in touch or get in contact with the customer, so you still have that live interaction without losing the rapport building with the person. If you're someone that's contacted me recently and I haven't gotten back to you within 5 minutes, you let me know. It's not happening. Hopefully it was helpful. Let me know of anything that you guys are more interested in. I know a lot of you are going to want to see the information. I can't share my screen just because it's personal information of customers on there. There's a lot of data being shared. Hence, having a good secure location makes sense, and why we want to have a different office setup. There's all of the pieces that are in place with that. I am very curious how you handle your agency. If you are either Health and Life or a P&C agent, let me know in the comments below. What are the steps that you typically go through on a day-to-day, or do you just go crazy? I know today was a little bit of a crazy day. I just wanted to show everybody, or at least speak to what a busy day would look like. I totally understand my busy day normally is doing meetings, meeting with carriers, meeting with partners, meeting with financial people, meeting with the software systems. We've got a VA that's building an AI appointment setter. So there's all of those pieces that we're building, and I have that being built so that we actually have that available for others. And there's all of these things that we have available that the typical owner goes through those pieces. Is this working? If that's not working, how is my agent doing? Are they doing well? What can I do to support them? All of those things that we do in a day-to-day looks a little different than if you're in the trenches. If you're in the trenches, it's just you. You're combining some of those things that the owner does on top of the things that the agent does. So it's a mix of a whirlwind, and you really just got to be organized. Having a calendar is going to make all the difference. Ending your day, maybe with a bath, which is what I do 2 to 3 days a week. And I just sit there with my phone. I don't stop working. I can't help it. And I grab out notes and I make notes for the next day. Here's what needs to be done tomorrow. Here's the things I need to focus on. Because I do find that when you get overwhelmed, then you stop thinking of what needed to be done. But think of all these things that you have to do. And if you don't organize the day ahead of time, then you don't figure the pieces that you have. I actually have a video that goes over the day-to-day. I don't use it as much, but it's super helpful if you want to find a free way to organize your day. I'll put that video here for you guys to check out. Although if you're just trying to learn a little bit more about the industry, how to start an agency, all of those pieces, this video is going to be helpful as well. I'm Mark W. Flockhart. I'll see you soon.